Hello traders and investors, I'm L.A. Little. I'm an institutional advisor, a professional trader, and the author of Neoclassical Technical Analysis. Hey folks, let's get into this. Last week we had the markets pushing to the downside again. You had outperformance on Bitcoin, everything else was down. Year to date, looking pretty grim, right? Mags tried to push higher, but were slammed back down. Year to date, they look really sad. Sector damage is continuing, right, across the board. You've got some outstanding gains still in some areas, but the last few weeks we've seen it going the other way. Now the indexes all look about the same, right? They're all starting to break down. So you've got the most important thing to do is realize that everybody that bought back here is a loser now. And so that's going to be stiff resistance on any kind of a bounce. That's true here. It's true on the S&P. You got retest, regenerate lower. Everything's happening as it should. If you look at it on the weekly, it's going after these targets. Those are the obvious targets. Eventually, this is the place that you want to try to buy. That's true on the NASDAQ, the NDX, right? Breaking down. If you go to the weekly, same sort of a scenario, looks the same, right? Russell 2K breaks down. That's two of them now that have broke. The Dow is broke, the Russell's broke. The other two still haven't broke on the weeklies, but it looks like they're going after it. Interest rates are pushing higher. That's a problem, right? Because interest rates should be going lower in a time of stress like this, and they're going the opposite way. Why? Well, I believe it's because of the inflation fears as a result of what's happening with oil. I want to pop back up here and tell you, what you really should be looking for is a break. This is the swing point low. This is on a weekly, right? You should look for a break and a fast push down, and then some sort of a bounce that comes back into what's going to be a bearish retest regen in this area, right? That then fells and gives you the larger move to the downside, at least into here. So how far this comes down, how far this bounces, those are always questions. But the eventual target looks to be down here in the 6,100 area. And why do I think that? Well, because when the markets head down, everything starts to correlate to one. So look at this here. These are charts that I put together. And what I did is I drew a line in on the first chart. And that's this curvature line showing kind of a top that is rounded. And then I just kept popping sector charts into it. And almost every one of them fit. I didn't redraw the lines. I just popped charts up on a line that was already drawn on my screen. And you can see every one of these sectors, almost every sector is doing the same thing. And that's on the daily time frame. Now look at this. You got a couple of charts that are different. Which ones? Financials and the mags, right? Mag 7. What are they telling you? Well, if you go over the weekly, they are doing the rounding tops. I suspect all the sectors are going to do the same thing before it's over, or just the majority of them. That's what happens. I've seen it so many times. That's what's happening. And you bleed from the dailies into the weeklies, so the weakness on the dailies become weakness on the weeklies. The weeklies all start to change. They're starting to change now. And I can show you that here. Here's your dailies. They've all turned to bearish at this point. Here's your weeklies. They're starting to change, right? Sideways, that's the first thing. Here's financials already gone to bearish, but the others are starting to change. They're going to sideways. What's going to happen? They're all going to bleed lower. That's the way it works. But at the same time, you don't go straight down. Here's my trend breadth indicator, right? When it gets towards this line, that's when you have to expect a bounce. If you go back and actually draw the lines here, you'll see that. It's close. It's getting very close. Bounce is getting close, folks. And that's what I want to leave you with. Have a great one. Take care. See you next time.